Absolutely. Hello, everyone. You're welcome to this evening's talk session. This session is in memory of our brother Godfred, who left us over the weekend and passed away. We understand that we have to have conversations about mental health because it's very important. That's why Vacationspars reached out to Dr. Yao Yame. He's a Ghanaian based in Germany, and he specialized in issues such as this, and he agreed to give us time for an hour or less to be with us to have conversations about a very important topic. So, Doc, you can introduce yourself whenever you're ready, and then we can start. You can tell us what we need to know, especially since lots of us are students in postgrad and even in undergrad levels, and we debate and we combine this with work and a lot of stuff. So, you're welcome.
Okay, once again, thank you for the opportunity. My name is Yao Nyame, as he rightly said. I'm currently in Germany. What I would say is, at the end of the day, it's a very sad situation. I came across the tweets about your friend's passing, and so when he reached out for me, I just felt the instant response to kind of pick it up and come be there and share with you guys some words of encouragement or some thoughts on the in connection with mental situation or mental health, where which could be of help to you guys. At least I'm very sure if I'll be on if I want to be honest with my words right from the very beginning, I'm very sure that already at this point some of you are down, some of you have, especially because of the close connection and relationships you guys had with him, you guys probably are kind of, even some of you are at the point of blaming yourselves for what has happened. Maybe you could have done something to help save him. Maybe you could have done something to put him in a better position or for him to reconsider his decisions. But the sad part about this is he had his decision in his head and he had it all this while, unless there's something to prove otherwise. It was a decision that he decided to make, whether it was the right decision or not. It's something that you can't really, at this moment, you can't really kind of put a hand on. But in a time of grief, I still feel like we could, as colleagues together, like I see 11 people of you when I entered, now it's 30 people of you. I see that in times like this, in group settings, it's very important that we come together. We look out for each other. We check up on each other. We are there for each other. Because what this shows or what this signals is that as much as we are always in the group setting, as much as we are always together, it's not always that those that are going through things will be able to share with us. It's not always that they'll be able to tell us exactly what they are going through, that we can be able to be there for them. But you will never know what you could do to be able to help someone else. So in times like this, it only goes ahead to reinforce the fact that we should be there for each other, right? And so that's the basic one I want to start with. Going into medical as a mental health as a whole. Now, I know that the community we come from, or the background or where we come from, especially our culture, mental health is not something that we really talk about. It's not something that we really take seriously. Uh, we don't even believe in that fact. So when you look at how we go about situation like that, we don't really take it seriously. We don't really. There's no proactivism towards mental health, and so most of the things that even happen and play out right in front of our eyes, we can't even tell if this has any links to mental health. And sometimes our actions towards these things are not really forthcoming and they are not really there to help the people that are in need of it. And sometimes the people that are even going through it cannot even tell if this is a mental health issue. And sometimes it becomes very, very tricky and difficult to deal with. But what I want to say is, with every individual, right? With every individual, what it's more important and critical when it comes to mental health is to understand in each and every time or situation that you are in, to be more understand with yourself, right? There is there is all the saying that everybody has a limit, right? Everybody has a limit. And there is a book that I read recently. called the author's name I keep forgetting, but the name of the book is the body keeps the score. I think anybody that will say if I get the name, I'll give it to Nana so that Nana could pass it on, or even send you guys a copy of the book, a PDF copy of the book. So the name of the title of the book is The Body Keeps the Score, and what that literally means that transfers is your body keeps the scores of everything that 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 adds up to that point where now the body can no longer take it any longer. For example, you have, let's say, an hour or 2 hour less of sleep. Sleep 4 hours instead of a regular 6, 8 hours of sleep, right? And then it's okay. I mean, for a day or two, you are okay. But if that becomes a constant thing, it keeps adding up, right? So it is not usually something that comes up once on all of us, but it's something that adds up small bit, one like one glass of alcohol here, one trip of we or something there, and all these things add up. On top of everything is the stress that adulthood as a whole brings to us as individuals. Let's be fair. Most of us, from our backgrounds and our culture, we are not brought up to handle the situations of adulthood. And sometimes some of these decisions that we make are as a result of that because we we are in our minds, we feel that we are not enough or we are not capable of handling what we've got ahead of us. And sometimes we think because we cannot, we rather take that decision to kind of take our life from this. And and it's sad, right? It's sad, especially in this particular moment that we are. And for us to be having such a conversation in this manner about a brother that should be among us, that should be here. And now I don't want to go so much on the negative side of things, but it could be any one of us, right? Could be any one of us. And so I feel this is a timely intervention or a timely um, event that we could put ourselves in a position where we understand more some of the things that we wrongly take for granted or we don't really take seriously. For example, like I said, our society don't really we are not proactive when it comes to mental health, and we don't really admonish them or we don't even look at them as mental health. And there are a lot of things that play a role when it comes to mental health, right? Things like your belief system, the way you, and with how you believe, your belief system, the things like your perception about yourself, your self identity. How do you, who are you? What's your identity? And whenever you have any kind of fights against that, anything that fights you against your identity, it can lead you sometimes to the edge. So things like daily stress, life stress, things like your beliefs about yourself, your perception about life, your understanding of life situations, and how prepared you are in mind for the circumstances that happen to us. Life deals with us, fact be told, life deals with us so many differently, right? Life throws on our way different balls, and sometimes it's difficult that we as individuals we are not prepared, both in mind, in spirit, to handle some of these things, right? Thankfully, we are in a society that is religious, right? So most of us belongs to a religious society, one way or the other, come from a religious background home. And so our beliefs have brought taught us from childhood things about who we are, our identity. But as we grow up through the years, there are a lot of things that you experience that can change your mind, that even sometimes put you in a position where you doubt, right? You kind of question yourself or you question these things that you've believed for all these while, right? And so it's difficult sometimes to understand, okay? And sometimes some of these decisions are made in a very split second. And so it's always also, like I said from the very beginning, it's always also very important that we are there for each other. It's not that we are just in the group just for group's sake or just for show off, but then for so that we are really there for each other. We check up on each other, right? Like I said, this is a wake up call, if not for anything, that yes, as much as we are in a group together, as much as we are all belonging to the same group together, people are still not comfortable to share their issues and their problems with others, right? And so that is also something that is there and it's very important that we consider that. Sorry, you guys, like I said, I'm trying to enter the train, so the noise is really there. I'll set a place where I could talk without noise. But can you guys hear me so far? Hello, Nana, can you give me a feedback? Can you guys hear me so far?
Yes, please.
Okay, okay, thank you. So, as I continue, like I said, mm, so life throws us different kind of balls, and when those balls are thrown at us, sometimes mine, and we are not ready for it, and that's why it's important when we are there for each other. That is how we can be able to um mm, push through some of these things. So, when talking about being there for each other. When you are with a friend, right? You notice the friend is not really themselves today. You notice something different. You know, sometimes it's all about just paying attention. That little thing that friend, it's not, you notice about the person. You notice that this guy is always like this. He's always like that. But today he's kind of different. Ask them that little question, that extra question. How are you doing, my friend? I'm noticed today you are not really that there like that. Is everything okay? I mean, just sometimes it's just sitting there, just listen to them talk, tell you something. Sometimes it's not that they actually need something from you or they want money or any other thing that most times we think, but sometimes they just need someone to share with, to share what they are going through with, someone to just listen and say, everything's going to be fine, you're going to be good, you're going to be fine. So I'm going to share a very simple and little story. And because of the train issues, I don't want to keep much of your time. I want to tell a little story of a friend of mine. So I I graduated medical school in Ukraine, and then at the time I graduated, the war happened. Right after I graduated, the war happened, and so I had to move. Not just me, but a lot of me and my colleagues had to move from Ukraine and find our places in across Europe. So there was this friend of mine that one time I was just at work. I think I remember I was going to school. I was going to language class. And she just called me, right? And she literally said it on the phone. Immediately she called me. She said, Ma, I want to kill myself. I'm going to jump right in front of the train. And I was like, immediately, like when I heard that, I was really scared, right? But I remember the first thing that I said from my mouth is, it is not worth it. Yeah, it's not worth it. It is not worth it. Can you let me talk to you at least for 5 minutes? Can you let me talk to you for 5 minutes? And then she started crying on the phone. She started crying on the phone. And then I said, I beg you, can you at least move on the side so that we can talk? And then, yes, she moved. She said, I'm sitting down. She sat down on one of the benches in the train station. Usually you have different benches and we sat there and then we talked. I told her a lot. I mean, I told her a lot about how I understand her and I feel her pain and her frustration and what is going on. Because at that time we had all the opportunity to go somewhere else, but we chose the countries that we wanted to be in because we felt they were going to be okay or they are okay. But then there were difficulties, there were challenges at times. And some of these challenges made it very difficult. And for her, it was too much for her. And so, but then thankfully she called. She got the courage to pick up the phone and call and said this and said what she wanted to do. And then I don't know where the courage came, but I had that courage to be able to calm her down and tell her it's not worth it. Everything's going to be fine. You are going to be good. And give her that words of encouragement. And I think we could do that for each other. That is something we could do for each other. And that is a natural basic skill. I'm not sure I had any special talent just because I'm a medical doctor. That's why I could do that. No, I think it's something that we all could do. We all could words of encouragement to each other, being there for each other, checking up on each other. These are the things that I think people that get in these situations need from us. And so, talking about being there for each other, I think as a group, as a society, together, what I will urge is that the group from now on have open spaces. We have open spaces where people could open up about things that um are are bothering them. We have been in a society that sometimes you are scared to tell people what is going on with you because tomorrow you hear it outside. And when you hear it outside, it's one of the some of the derogatory things that no one wants to that I tell someone my pain and then the next minute people are using it to tease me. And so these are also part of the reasons why they don't want to be mocked, they don't want to be taken advantage of, they don't want to be um bullied because of their pain. And unfortunately, we live in a society that happens a lot. And so, what I want to urge is that from now, this group, this society that he was part of, would create within the society, within the group, even if it's 2 or 3 people. And these people are individuals that would say, okay, this is what I want to do. Give time out. If someone is in any issue, any problem, you can open up with me. And these people must be people who can keep their mouth tight, right? These are people who can be trusted with things that are because someone have to share their family issues with you. And sometimes you also have to be a tough person to listen to someone's issue and not be overwhelmed by it, and also still be able to have the courage to be there for the person. So I will urge that this group, this society would stand for each other in that sense that you will create in within the group this opportunity, this open space that everybody can come in cases of issues, they can come and share their issues and their problems. And then these information to remain in between the close conversation that is had and it's not brought outside, that it will bring kind of shame and things to other people. I think I will end my conversation here. I'll end my talk here. And if anybody have any questions, if there's any other questions, so that I could answer them well for you all. So I think I'll end my talk here, and then I will take any other questions that you guys have.
Okay, okay,
Thank
Doc.
you for
Great.
yeah.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you for your submission so far. It's been great. Uh, wait. Let me give me a moment. I think Doc is off.
No, I'm here. I'm here. I'm here. I just muted my microphone because I was listening to you. Can you hear
Okay,
me?
fantastic. Yes, I can hear you. I can hear you.
Okay. Okay.
Might be instances where somebody could be going through some mental health challenges because of what they are
Yeah.
going through in life at that particular moment, but they might not be able to know that with the situation they've been in for a while is negatively affecting them. They'll probably think it's part of life now in Africa, or as a student, this is part of the
Mm-hmm.
life. It's okay to feel down every Monday to Thursday. It's okay to feel sad. You're only okay on the weekends. They probably think it's normal. So what are some of the tips you could give us to check our lives if we ever fall into those periods where there is a chance we might actually be having severe issues that we simply do not know, and we do not know how to diagnose it properly by ourselves?
Okay. So what I would say is, in cases where you notice something about you yourself, right? You notice that there's things that you kind of going through, you're experiencing that it's not normal. Like something that you just notice. It could be anything. You notice is normal. Maybe you are constantly out of breath, some things like that. You constantly overthinking about something. You feel like life is a lot for you. You can do this anymore. When you are in these situations where you normally think, I'm normally not in this kind of thing. I normally don't have this kind of thought. When you are in such conversations, then you know you have to reach out and look for help, right? You're already in that position where you have to look for help. So that's one thing I would say. And I think personally, think that you can do it for yourself, right? In order to put yourself in a better position, in order to at least take care of yourself. Is exercise, right? You don't have to be going to the gym, right? Like everybody's doing. Exercise. Personally, living in Europe, I understand that. I've gone through phases of that where there was a time that everything was it's like a lot, a lot. Pressure from home, situations that are here. You have to deal with a lot of complicated issues, and then you end up in a home friendship cycle has changed because of change of environment. And so the only thing that I grabbed onto was health, was going to the gym, exercising, and you could do with just 5 minutes exercise, step out. Thankfully, we are in Ghana, right? We are not in Europe where the weather sometimes is not like last favor. In Ghana, every almost every time there's sun, step out, do some fresh air, have a conversation with a friend. Sometimes put the phone down for an hour, walk out, have a conversation with a friend, have a conversation with someone else. Sometimes it doesn't have to be being a friend and a stranger. Just give yourself that energy, give yourself that uh, natural feel and vibe of life, and not just uh, locked in this digital bubble. Because sometimes it can be very overwhelming, because your identity doesn't stem from that device that you are holding. Your identity stems from something eternal, as we all know from our various uh, backgrounds. For example, I was born in a I was born from a Christian background. So my identity comes from God, comes from Jesus. And so whoever religion that you come from, where is your identity stem from? And unfortunately, how things have developed over time, most of us have become so glued to the handies, to the mobile phones, that sometimes we tend to think our identity is from this device. This device tends to depict or detect who we are, and tells us our identity. And so it's very important that day in, day out, you have this clear mindset or clear free mind that you are not this, you are not that, and you constantly remind yourself of who you are. It's a daily conscious effort to remind yourself that I'm this, I'm that. I'm not this, I'm not that person. Because, yeah, uh, yeah, I don't know. Hopefully I answered your question.
Yes, actually, thank you so much. I think the bit about connecting with reality and going outside to touch grass and exercising a bit, it really helps. Personally, I do exercise frequently because I'm trying to keep fit, but also when in the moment we're exercising and right afterwards, your mind is so cleared up and it helps you to like shed off past emotions, probably from the previous day or something like that. But look, I do have another follow-up question, but before that, everyone on the call, if you do have a question, I just put in the chat space that you can put your hand up by using the raise your hand emoji on Zoom, and then Doc could call you, or I could unmute you, and then you can ask the question. You can just put your hand up. Look, the other thing I wanted to know was that in an instance where you have a friend or maybe even a girlfriend who, like, occasionally would probably make a joke about saying they used to have suicidal thoughts, but now they don't anymore. And you don't know whether it's because they met you that they don't have those suicidal thoughts anymore, or you can simply not tell because that like they're trying to get a bit more attention from you, or they're just trying to let you feel differently and special about them. What do you do about that? Do you try to take that friend to go see someone, or because it can get a bit tricky where they feel like, oh, I told you something about my past, and now you are acting as if I'm unstable, and now you want to take me to go and meet someone. I said I'm okay. I just told you that something in the past. I think it's tricky. So what do we do if somebody opens up, but then they say, oh, it's in the past. I no longer feel like that anymore these days. Should we just let that slide?
Okay, so I know that can be very tricky, especially when it comes to relationship stuff. But I think it boils down back to the conversation and the point that I made earlier, and that is there should be this even if you're in a relationship with anybody, there should be this kind of understanding between you two that uh you can trust each other with something that's going on or bothering you, right? Yeah, it comes. I mean, there is a part where a big person are trying with you. I know it's there, right? You want to feel loved by your beloved, and so you try to kind of, yeah, these are all there. But I also feel like when it's serious, it's also serious. And that point you made, that sometimes when you feel like maybe she needs help, so you want to or you feel he needs help, so you want to get help. Trying to get help is very, very, very tricky. Now, one thing I learned and one thing I know works well is when you notice something is off from somebody, but the person is kind of pushing back as to help or something, you could let the person understand, okay, I trust and believe that whatever is happening, you can handle it, right? But if you cannot, in case you realize in any moment you cannot, you could come to me. You could open up to me. Or you could ask for help when you realize that you cannot handle it. And I feel like a statement like that, just a statement like that, even to a beloved who is going through something but cannot share with you, right? And it's not like he's using this to kind of make you feel guilt of not helping him or her. It's a statement that actually gives the person one trust, that you trust him or her, that in whatever the person is going through, the person is the first person to take charge and responsibility for it, and you trust that the person can do it. Two, you are also how will I say, you also strengthen the person and giving the person that kind of comfort feeling that in any case that he or she cannot handle whatever is going on, he can reach out for help and you will be there to help the person. And so things like that. And then, like I said before, it's more like natural instincts with some of these things. Sometimes it can be very tricky when it comes to love matters because you cannot know where the border is. But like I said, if you're in a relationship with someone, at least there should be that trust that you could trust this person that you love with something that is so personal, that is so intimate. But if you cannot, or you realize, okay, this person needs help and you want to help the person, like I said, you cannot help someone who doesn't want to be helped. That's also very important. First of all, the person must be willing to be helped. And so it's also a very important thing to notice as well. So, yeah. I don't know if that answers your question as well.
Yes, actually, that answers that question. Thank you. I think I was in a situation like that personally, so I would know
Okay.
what to do if it ever comes up again. I have one more question of my own. Godfred, may his soul rest in peace, was a debater, right? An avid one. In fact, on Vacationspars, we have practice sections every day, and we have tournaments every now and then, right? Sometimes he wouldn't sign up for the session, but if somebody signed up and the person left, he would step in for the person, record at a swing, and just speak and debate and practice. So very constantly available and visible. The other thing to note about the debate circuit is that when we do tournament, whether it's online or in person, you would want to display aura, not exactly aura, but you want to show that you are confident enough in yourself as a person, even at all the days of the tournament. That way, the organizers and the judges and fellow debaters you debate against, everybody would just recognize your presence when you're about to give your speech and do your public speaking task and stuff, because everybody wants to win and get to have a name in the circuit. These days, we even compete beyond Ghana with other African nations and other people in other countries. So that pressure is intense, whether your school is paying for you or you paid with your own money. So, Doc, this brings me back to the question I want to ask, that how do we care for our mental health in such a sport? Because there are several sports we could have done, but we kind of like have this mental addiction to always exercise our intelligence, that we are debaters and public speakers. And the sport requires you to always be in composure so that you can win tournaments. So can you afford to be vulnerable and open up, say, day two of the competition, right? But if you do so, would people even believe you? Because you are always present. Like Godfred, the day before the incident happened, he was chatting on in the group space. We probably had a practice round. He probably volunteered. So he's always visible. So people would probably think if you are always visible, then you probably don't have a big problem that requires you to go into seclusion, because we like to think people that are down and depressed are missing from the internet. They go offline. So when they cross your mind, you check on them. But what if they are literally always in the group chat every day asking to practice? and they show up at competitions. Godfred won a national competition like in the Q3 of last year or Q4 of last year. So then what do we do personally? And then
Yes,
maybe
coach.
looking out for other people. What do we do?
Raised his hand.
Right. Doc, did you get my inquiry?
Yeah, I did, but I think someone was trying to say something or I missed it. Lepogan or something. He was
I
saying
had to
something. I
mute
didn't
them. They
catch
just
it.
like joined after a
Ah,
while,
okay.
so I had to, yeah.
Okay. So I think what you said is very tricky and it's true and it's fact that especially people who are always outspoken out there, they're always even looking at standing in for people and looking out for people and the people that are always coming through for people. It's it's a common feeling. We always think and assume that they are okay, they're fine, they don't need help. But they are the ones that need help most of the time because sometimes they take care of everybody and then when it comes to their time, they don't have anybody to turn to. And so it's like I said, as a community, as a society that you are already, since you are already together in a group, right? This is a sign. This is only a sign that we have to look out for each other, right? As a group, as a society, you have to start looking out for each other. I think as a world as a whole, as a society as a whole, we all need to do that for each other more. And so for you guys, this is what I will say. This is the message that I'll give to you guys, and that is look out for each other more, right? That friend of yours, that next door neighbor of yours, just check out, hello, how are you doing? How's your day going? How's your weekend? How's everything? How's school? How's studies? Is there anything I could help? Those are upper, those are lower, because the fact is, yes, let's put everything on the same scale. Let's put everything on a scale. Yes, people that are in high intensity sport or things like debate and all these kind of things, they have even more stress in the sense you have to add everything up on all together. You are in school, you're studying, you're doing everything else, and you have to also add the pressure that comes from participating in an extracurricular sport or activity also together to it. So it's additional stress, right? So in that sense, everybody has one way or the other the issues that they are going through. But like I said, the most important thing is we have to be there for each other. And so I'll urge you as a group, I'll urge you as a society to start from today, right? Create this open space within your community where everybody feels safe when they are going through something. And it also has to be a culture that if someone, even if it's a day, even if it's a couple hours to a competition, and the person doesn't feel like it, the person can say, I don't feel like it and not go for the competition and be rest assured that someone else could be in his place and he wouldn't feel guilty for not doing it. And so there has to be things like this, like things where you talk everybody is different, you know. It's not like the same thing fits the same everything. No, everybody and how they are. There are people that need to be talked to before they can even warm up for something that they can do very well and very. Some people they don't need any of that. They just they motivate themselves, you know. So everybody's different. Everybody's and that's why it's important. Like I said, create that safe space in the group. You already know, once I was even saying that, you already know, since you've been together for a long time, you already know some of you that could do that, could always stand in for each other. And within that safe space, you check up on each other. Everyone, it's it's all for one for all. So that it's like everybody's inclusive in the group. It's not just when you have a competition that you do activities towards the competition, but then outside the competition, because at the end of the day, whatever we are doing, it's to be there, is to be of help for each other. If whatever we are doing doesn't help each other, then there's no need, there's no purpose, right? It's it's of no value, I would say, to the society or to mankind as well. So it's important that the safe group, everybody could have that sense of belonging and part of it. Unfortunately, I have like 2 more minutes to go, so I don't know if that so I could take maybe a
Mm.
last question and then yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much. Guys, do you have any question you would want to ask Doctor? He's running a tight schedule. He took time off to be with us. I've asked all my questions.
Okay, I think Your colleagues don't have any other question. I think so. Maybe they would have texted it or something. But it was a nice time with you guys. The schedule and everything, but once you gave me the invite, I was like, okay, I want to do this. And I think
Just a
it's a good
sec.
cause to do. And that's come again.
Yeah, I'd wanted to ask a question. I don't know if
Please
we're
go ahead. Please go
um,
ahead.
I'm so sorry if probably what I'm asking had been covered through the session. My network will be glitching, but I think it would be wise enough if I asked it in the first place. So
Okay.
my question is what's the best advice to overcome the existential risk where you feel like the entire metric of not just necessarily on something depressing, but probably how you approach life and the things that you would want, goals, visions, and everything that oftentimes annihilate you. And basically, how do you overcome the existential risk, like where you feel like your life is not being controlled by you and stuff like that? Yeah, I think.
Okay. So I made mention throughout the conversation. But it's not like I answered it, but it's the same thing in the sense that every individual have um, their background, right? I was brought up in in a Christian home, and so I was taught that my identity comes from Jesus Christ, and so it's not about me and what I can do. Yes, I can do, but to a point. Jesus is my soul, everything. And so when I am feeling difficulty, when I'm going through pain, I turn to Him. I give it up unto Him. And so it's important that we know who we are and remind ourselves of who we are every time, day in, day out. And this is sometimes decisions, or these are sometimes things that we have to do ourselves, like waking up, praying all the time, going to church, or having your daily devotions. These are things that you have to do on your own, right? And when some of these things, sometimes we forget, or we don't kind of see the value of it in our daily life, right? And the things that these kind of things really do for us until we get to a position where we realize it's overwhelmed us and it's over and we cannot do anything for it. I hope that answers your question. Hello?
I hope that answers
Yeah,
your question.
my
I sure
question
do.
was
I hope it
my
did.
question.
It did.
Sorry.
Hi
Maybe
everyone. If you would have any questions after this session, you can channel it to me, and then I would just forward it right to Doctor. And then if he has any input or insight, I would be sure
no
to
problem.
relay that back to you. Right.
No problem. I wanted to maybe I missed something in the question. So come again. You said your question was again. Come again.
Yeah, yeah. So basically, it's just I think there is this overwhelming stress, not
Mhm.
necessarily on how you cope with stress, but I don't know if you have ever been in a situation where you feel like you're in control at some point, but then you also sit down and realize that you're not in control. You begin to see like your life is a mirror, and you really don't feel like you're real at some point, like where you question, firstly, your position in all these societies that are something that are inherently beyond you, and all the coping mechanisms oftentimes tend not to be giving you value. You feel pessimistic at some point, like nothing will ever work out. That overwhelmed situation. Yeah.
That's true. Thank you very much for repeating it first of all. Yeah, I think um that's the fact, and that's something that we all experiences every day in our day of life. Even when you are always being taking care of people, as a doctor, you're always taking care of patients, they're always coming to you, you are telling them everything. There's a point that you yourself you tend to feel like that as well. And I said this earlier in my presentation, and that was none of us are prepared for adulthood, right? None of us. We're just prepared to live life, to go to school, get a job, and then live life. But then once you start seeing some of these things, then you have to find it's like you have no idea what to do or what to go about it. But like I said, what I would tell you is your identity is very key as well, because in all this, feeling of overwhelmness, this feeling of I am incapable of doing this, I can't, this is a lot for me, I can't do it, this is so overwhelming and I cannot deal with this. It has to be a sense of who I am, who am I, in this, and that is for me and for my perception when I look at most of these situations. That is where the issues come down to, and that is who am I? How do I see myself in the midst of all these things that surround me, right? And the identity usually comes from the belief system, and that's why I mentioned earlier that I am a Christian, and so for me, I go back to that position where I say, Jesus Christ is my rock. That's where I go with all my problem and all my burdens. Yeah,
All right, thank you, thank you.
you're welcome. Did that answer your question? I still have this sense uh, that
It
wasn't the
kind,
answer you were.
no, it kind of at this point I don't know like what the rightful answer is because the situation itself is a bit.
What would you say in a typical example, like when you say you're overwhelmed with something? What's the typical example? What happened? Can you give me a specific example of what happened that got you in that position?
Uh so like personally, I'm someone who is like who likes living in a futuristic version. Like you try
Yeah.
and chase like where you have goals that you try and chase. That any singular success that you gain right now is
Mm-hmm.
something that is incomparably happy to you. I don't know if that makes sense at some point where
Yeah, yeah.
you exist trade, I think some treadmill or something, where even if something was gives you short-termistic happiness, like it can just be for an hour, but you feel like it's never enough at some point. So you just believe you just exist in a situation whereby nothing makes sense to you now. Even the things that you had 2 years back, which you wanted to do by the future of which is today, like still don't make sense at this point because you have things of 5 years from now that you would probably want to achieve and stuff, but that just makes your life be at some point you sit back and you realize that probably what you want to accomplish is not yet there. And so what you have right now is useless at some point. So you just exist in a situation whereby nothing makes you or gives you as frequent joy as you ought to have, even when people reflect in the situation you exist in and they are happy that they could want you to be happy of where you are, but then where you exist is something that is not so happy to you. I don't know. That makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, I get it. I get it. I get you. Thank you once again, and thank you for the patience. So I think with every step, I kind of get deeper and I get deeper sense of what you're trying to mean. So what you just said, if I got you correctly, what you just said was there is future goals that and plans that you want to achieve, things that you want to do, and you always feel constant pressure of where I am, it's not where I want to be. And regardless of what I do, it seemed not to get me to where I want to get to, right? That's exactly what you said, right?
Not necessarily regardless of what you do. I think you like just to I think to add more context, it's not like I'm living in a situation whereby I've not achieved anything. Like I can basically handle all that would ideally make anybody's life happy at that point. Yeah. Like you can have basic access to food, basic access to your needs as an individual, but
Mm-hmm.
then like you don't exist in a situation where you appreciate the basicness of the life that you have. So it's like it's not okay, let's assume you exist right now. You say I have a goal, I want to probably start up a business. Yeah, so that's your
Mm-hmm.
goal. For maybe you want to say I want to start up a business next year. So
Mm-hmm.
next year comes and you already have the business sorted, but then you
Mm-hmm.
would probably want to elevate the business to some level.
Ah,
So the
okay.
goal that you have now that you exist in
Mm-hmm.
is something that doesn't give you joy when you even expect to have that joy in the first place.
Okay. So
Mm.
so you mean to say that uh, even when you achieve the goal, it doesn't seem
Yeah,
make you happy the way you thought of it. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, something of that sort doesn't last. Like, I don't know. Like,
Yeah,
doesn't last
okay.
as thoughts to.
Okay. Okay. This is what I would say about it. What I would say about it is it's like human needs are insatiable. Our desires are insatiable. And our goals, our dreams, our aspirations comes from there. It comes from these desires and dreams that we have. And so it's let me just make a simple analogy of that. And that simple analogy would be, let's say I want this particular new brand phone, right? And I really want it. Like it fills every part of my once I saw the phone, I can't even hand unless I get the phone. So I'm always constantly about it. And then I get it. For a couple of days, it's like, okay, so that's all. You get it. It's like that for every one of us, right? And so it's what I would say about that, what I would say about the insatiable needs, it's you just have to understand at the point to a point that you can never, because once you finish this goal, comes another one. Once you finish that, comes another one. And there's numerous of them. That's all I want to say about this. I don't want to make it complicated. And that is, there is numerous of goals, there's numerous of desires that we have. And the desires in and net of themselves don't give us the joy and the satisfaction that we need, right? What actually gives us the joy and the satisfaction we need is what these desires bring us, the feeling they bring, right? These are the things that actually makes us happy. These are the things that gives us the experience, the euphoria, and the feeling of joy and excitement. But once we focus on just the goal, once we focus on just the thing, we lose the value of it. So whatever the thing is that you are trying to achieve, right? Usually, sometimes it's not the thing itself, but the experience of it, the process, what you do to get in it, right? And I thought from the very beginning, I thought the part that, let's say, missed from my submission was being grateful for every stage of your life, or being grateful for whatever thing that you have, right? And gratitude is something that you have. It's also a skill, so you can develop it, right? That every day and day you could wake up and say three things, right? Three things that you are grateful for in your life. It could be friend, it could be anything that you, even just to be alive, anything. Because one thing that I know is what you are, what you um in your life, what you celebrate or what you are grateful for, you keep getting more of it. So if you are grateful for life and you always express it early morning, you wake up and you're excited and you say whatever it is, you are grateful for it, you express that gratitude in whatever form that you can do it. You, in a sense, putting it out there that universe, I want more of this. I'm grateful that I have this. I want more of that. It could be just conversation with a friend that relieves you of that stress, relieves you of that confusion in your mind. Um, Mr. Isaiah, I hope I came close to your point. Other than that, maybe I'll have to address this later because I'm running behind time now.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So once again, thank you guys. I really would have wished to have had more time to spend with you guys, but I have to run quickly, and I'll also be open to any of the questions that you guys have, and I'll address them later on. Thank you very much for your time, and I hope to hear from you guys very soon. Okay. Nana, thank you for the opportunity once again, and I would love to get the copy of the video or the recording as well.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you very much.
absolutely.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for being
You're
with us.
welcome.
Okay,
You're welcome.
enjoy the rest of
Bye.
your day. Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining the session. If you have any questions about today's session, you can just send it to my DMs and then I would forward it to Doc. This session is going to be uploaded to the Vacationspars YouTube channel and also to the Cape Coast Open YouTube channel. So whichever you follow, you can tune in. This is a series, so we are going to have another session tomorrow. Tomorrow would be having a senior associate from JP Morgan Chase Bank to be with us. He's developing an app. It's called LumaMind, and it's going to be tracking people's mental health, through the use of AI and how exactly you can do the things Doctor was talking about today in tracking the mental health of yourself and of your friends too. So he would tell us a lot more about it, and he would let us know how we can get the app and how we can basically take care of ourselves as students and as debaters and as workers. Also, I totally appreciate you guys showing up for this session. And I do know for sure if Godfred was still here with us, he would totally still have been here on this call. He absolutely loves sessions like these. And we would try our best to make it worthwhile and honor his memory as best as we can. Enjoy the rest of your evening, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.